At that point in 1994, when the relationship turned romantic,
change that to sexual.
To sexual.
Thank you.
For how long did your relationship with Mr. Depp remain sexual?
She's smiling too.
Several months.
Change it. A sexual relationship.
She smiled too, like a big smile on her face.
Yes, he fucked me.
Damn, Johnny over there like shaking his head and shit.
Brief summary of kind of when you started working and what you've done during your career.
I started acting professionally about 26 or 7. And I did theater, television, movies, lots of them.
Okay.
That's what I did for 40 years.
And in the course of your career acting in theater, television, movies, etc., did you come to meet a person by the name of Johnny Depp?
Yes.
Can you specify in time, Ms. Barkin, when you met him?
I would say 1990.
Right.
And upon or after meeting him, did there come a time when you became friends?
Yes.
And can you describe how that happened?
We just developed a friendship over time that lasted, I guess, if we met in the 90s, maybe 10 years, a little less.
And fair to say that Mr. Depp at the time was also an actor, a professional actor?
Yes.
Were you, did you act in any film, stage, or TV productions with Mr. Depp?
Yes, I was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Ooh.
How often would you see Mr. Depp?
When I lived in New York, usually whenever I'd go to LA, if I were in LA, I'd see him once a week, maybe more. I mean, the friendship went up and down, living on different coasts.
And did there come a time when your friendship with Mr. Depp became more than that, became romantic in nature?
Yes.
And at what point in time did your relationship with Mr. Depp take a romantic turn?
After I had moved to Hollywood, and he, switched the buttons.
Recall what year you moved to Hollywood?
Yes, 1994.
When you said switch the buttons, can you tell me what you meant by that?
The friendship went from a purely platonic friendship to a romantic one.
At that point in 1994, when the relationship turned romantic,
change that to sexual.
To sexual.
Thank you.
For how long did your relationship with Mr. Depp remain sexual?
She's smiling too.
Several months.
Sexual.
Anywhere between 3 and 5, 6.
Gotta let him
And
know.
during that period, how often would you see Mr. Depp? That period when it was sexual?
I'd say I'd see him 3 or 4 times a week.
And again, I'm not looking to pry into private details, but can you tell me like where you would see him? Just give me some sense of that.
Yeah, he would come to my house, or I would go to his house.
And both houses in LA?
Yes, about 10-minute drive apart from each other.
And at either when you were at his house, where you didn't stay the night, or where you were at his house when you did stay the night, were there other people in the house who saw you there? Who would those people be?
He had an assistant. His sister. That's all I can remember now.
Do you recall the name of the assistant?
I don't know his name. He was referred to as Pig.
He was referred to by whom as Pig?
Johnny Depp.
At any point that you were either initially friends and then sexual with Mr. Depp, did you become aware that he drank to excess.
I was always aware.
Okay, and can you explain how you were aware of that?
He was drunk all the time, a lot of the time.
And that would apply both to when you were initially friends and then later when it became sexual.
Yeah.
And what was he drunk? What your understanding? What had he drunk to become drunk?
He was a red wine drinker.
Amber smiling too.
Okay. In addition to alcohol, were you aware at that time that Mr. Depp was taking any prescription medication?
No.
Okay. Same question, Mr. Barkin, for illegal substances.
Yes.
Same question. And what illegal substances?
Hallucinogenics, cocaine, marijuana.
Hallucinogenics. Can you say specifically what those were?
I don't really know. He called me and told me he was tripping.
With respect to any of that, hallucinogenics, cocaine, or marijuana, did he do any of that in your presence?
Yes,
More than once?
all the time.
When you say all the time, how many times, again, in the period that you were both first friends and then sexual with Mr. Depp, do you think you saw him?
I couldn't even tell you. I mean, I just know he was always drinking or smoking a joint.
But would it be fair to say more than at least dozens of times?
Yeah. Over the full course, oh yeah.
Were you smoking?
Now, did you ever observe, Ms. Barkin,
Rough.
Mr. Depp's behavior change when he drank more or used more drugs?
I did not.
So he was kind of the same all the time, fair to say?
It was not the same. He was high.
Did there come a time, Ms. Barkin, when Mr. Depp acted in a way that was out of control with you?
Yes. Mr. Depp threw a wine bottle across the room, the hotel room, on one instance in Las Vegas while we were shooting Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Was something about to happen
A fight was going on.
between you and Mr. Depp?
No.
Who was the fight between?
Between Johnny Depp and his friends in the room, the assistant. Honestly, I don't remember.
And the bottle do you remember sitting here today, Ms. Barkin, whether the bottle was full of wine or empty?
I don't.
Sitting here today, Ms. Barkin, do you remember whether the bottle hit you?
No, it did not.
Did the bottle hit anyone else?
No, it did not.
Approximately how far away from you was
Is that what
Mr.
she
Depp
said?
when he threw the bottle?
Across the room, so maybe by that break in the table or a little further down. It was a toss.
And
Row.
sitting here today, if the bottle had hit you, would it have injured you? Ms. Barkin, was it your understanding back then that he was throwing the bottle at you?
I don't know why he threw the bottle.
And when he threw it, was it in your direction?
Yes.
Were there other people standing around you?
Yes.
So he threw it in your direction at a group of people?
Yes.
Whose hotel room was it?
His Johnny Depp's.
Who broke off?
He did.
How did it come about that Mr. Depp broke off your relationship?
I went to go home. There was a big goodbye, crying, a lot of jealous, don't do this, don't do that. And I never heard from him again after that.
And did Mr. Depp not want you to go back to Los Angeles at the time?
Yes, he didn't want me to go. I was only supposed to be there for 2 days. I stayed for longer.
And you just referenced, you just used the word jealous. How did that come up? What did he say that indicated to you that you was jealous?
He's just a jealous man, controlling. Where are you going? Who are you going with? What did you do last night? I had a scratch on my back once that got him very, very angry because he insisted it came from me having sex with a person who wasn't him.
During the time that you were in a sexual relationship with Mr. Depp, was it common for him to say things to you about being controlling, to use your words, or being jealous of you?
Yeah, very common.
And when, in these instances, when Mr. Depp became jealous or controlling, did he also become angry?
Yeah. And demanding.
That's it. What's the rest of it?
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go and take our afternoon
we get the
recess.
full
Please
thing?
do not discuss the case and do not do any outside research, okay? We'll see you back in 15
What kind of
minutes.
half-ass testimonies are these depositions?
Change that. Change it. A sexual relationship. Yeah. He liked it. Yeah, we had a brief relationship.
I was like, God damn. Shit, bro. The people that coming up, the
Come back
skeletons
at
that they're bringing up.
3:45. Does that give you time to be ready? Okay.
Like, God damn. I started thinking about, like, holy shit, like, I actually texted one of my exes. I was like, what would you say about me in the depot? But I haven't gotten a response yet. I was imagining if, like, sometimes I'll be just looking at this stuff, like, imagine, like, if one day I was in some type of crazy situation like this, and they just start pulling out skeezers and shit, you know, from your past and stuff. And she was, like, making sure, too, like, correction.
It's sexual.
She's like, she smiled, too, like a big smile on her face.
Yes, he fucked me.
Damn, yo, Johnny over there, like, shaking his head and shit. Oh my God. I could just imagine, bro. Like, I'm kind of looking back, like, into my memory. I'm like, oh shit. They gotta like, they pull that one person. He's like, oh man.